Hello,
Adriana.
hello. Welcome, everybody. We'll get the official introduction to the show started here in just a second. I've got a couple uh, admin things to take care of. Oop,
Welcome everybody. We'll get the official.
there we go. I got to get this turned off, turn that one off. Got three different channels I got to be watching here for comments and everything.
Jesus,
So, uh,
I'll tell you, you are amazing.
um, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Liliana, we've got the beautiful Liliana. She's looking ravishing today with her
Whatever.
hair. The hair looks great. I like the hair today.
Oh, thank you so much. And it was like not like that earlier on. Believe me, it was terrible. Just you in my building site, you have to switch from property to the coaching to go live, and you have to leave everything behind. So I just made an effort. So yeah, hello everyone. I know that Diana should be there waiting for us to talk about this divine feminine today after
Oh,
two
yes, I'm,
hours of
I'm
meditation.
excited for this. Very excited for this. I've got a new show starting here this week. I hope that
You're
I'll
doing
share
too
more
much.
about it in just a second. Let me get this shared over on your feed, Liliana.
You're doing too much. I think my feed is full of us sharing already. It's wonderful. I have about I have a really good comment from a coach earlier on about my post because before you share your stuff, I have to remind people that we are live. So I've done one in the morning, and I have a nice guy, coaching guy, saying he likes that very much. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm brilliant. Here I am.
All
No,
right,
I'm
fantastic.
I'm always on my vibration high these days. I think my people at work they find me a bit cracker these days because I don't take anything negative these days. I just can't be bothered. I am divine feminine as I am. Embrace it all in, and that's it.
All right, just about got it here. Let me see. One last thing to do because I'm not showing. We've got three viewers. We've already got somebody
Hello, everyone.
commenting in today, and I can't tell who it is because.
It doesn't matter. We like you to have you here. Thank you for popping in live with us, and please interact. Just put something on the comments so we can answer your questions. And if you don't know anything, and if you have a topic that you really want to hear about it and we haven't covered yet, please send it in, and we'll be able to make a live on it and just answer your questions. Because this is about spreading the light, the love, and unravel what has been hidden from us for so long now that there is no secret that some things are just popping up and no longer are just within the elite. Because in those days, only the elite knew about these things, and they kept it very quiet, very secretly, and they
Yes,
used
they
it to have
did.
the power over us.
Well, why won't this work? Oh, well. Okay. Anyways, let's get this show started today. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to Reality Practice Live. I'm your host, Joey Kramer, and with me, as always, is the beautiful and ravishing Liliana de Cruz.
Great
Today, our
surprise.
topic is going to be the divine masculine and divine feminine. What is it? What is it really? And I had the idea for the show topic today because I just
Last minute,
recorded the
thank
first
you.
four. What's that?
Last minute, thank you. No time for
Yes,
preparations.
absolutely. I just recorded the first four episodes yesterday with Jessa
Look at you.
Carter, and we're going to be introducing a new show coming to the Reality Practice Network called Unlocking the Divine Mind Within. And we dive deep
Awesome.
into the aspects of divine feminine, divine masculine, what it is,
Awesome.
what it isn't, and how we are all in the process of discovering that we are each a 50-50 makeup of divine
Mm,
masculine, divine feminine.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
to get things started, we need to have kind of a basis. What is masculine, feminine? What's the difference between divine masculine, feminine, and just the masculine, feminine as we know it? Uh, I'll lay a background here, and then we'll turn it over to you, Liliana, and then we'll start addressing some of the specific topics involved with this. But we've got to think of masculine, feminine. This is totally 100% in the three-dimensional world. This is a biological, scientific fact. This is how we have evolved. We still are either masculine or feminine. And the idea was when we were thousands of years ago, hunter-gatherers, you had the masculine, the male, the head of the tribe. They were the head masculine, and then you had all the feminine underneath them. And it was a protection. It was a security type thing back in the day, back thousands of years ago, hell, even 100 years ago for most people. The feminine was there to nurture, was there to take care of the family, take care of the tribe, while the masculine was there going out hunting, fighting, protecting his people, his family, more or less. And that's how masculine, feminine obviously began. It is evolving as we grow in our evolution now. Says my camera is super blurry. That's weird. It's showing up really clear here on my end. Let me know if it stays blurry.
It's a little bit.
I can
That's why I
try
like the
shutting
light.
it down and coming back on. Let me see.
No, we can see you. Don't do that. I can still
All
see
right,
you.
let me see.
Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it is super blurry on one of the feeds here. That's weird. Damn. Okay. Anyways, what we're discovering is we are quickly evolving now, and we are understanding that there are two sides to the masculine and the feminine, and that we possess both. That when we understand how both work and we incorporate both aspects of it, we start to become one with ourselves, one with spirit, one with the universe, one with all of creation. And there's certain fundamental aspects involved with each aspect of either feminine or masculine. The masculine, for instance, is in its nature protective, highly focused, super logical. The masculine does not have creativity in a sense. We are the builders and the engineers, whereas the divine feminine, that part of each of us that is the creative side, the right brain side, that is the love, the nurturing, the creative, the intuitive. That's the emotional flow. The masculine operates from no emotion. The feminine operates from all emotion. It's logic versus emotion. Now we have to figure out how to incorporate the two and to become a solid one wholeness that makes up who and what we are. So we'll dive a lot deeper into these certain aspects. We'll talk about kind of the positive features, the positive aspects of the feminine and masculine. We'll talk about the negatives that we need to eliminate from our ego, from our way of thinking, how we've been programmed, more or less. We need to eliminate that in order to achieve this higher level of consciousness. So with that, I'll turn it over to Liliana, and why don't you share some of your thoughts and feelings with it, and then we'll dive into breaking down the different aspects and topics. So take it away, Liliana.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here with us. I love you, definitely say just I love you, and I love you more each day because you guys are a massive part of my evolution as well as a divine feminine. What is the divine feminine, guys? Well, I did not know anything about that either, but ignorance, it's no longer in store. We are here to break all these patterns that been imposed on us from years and years and years of ignorance. And I was once upon a time such an ignorant person, an ignorant feminine, let's say it. I was very dominant, always in my power, a little bit too much. I was in balance. So, divine feminine, what is that? Divine feminine is when you have the balance within you, the knowledge. You learn how to step into your real feminine with the divine, understanding that you're not longer wounded. Okay? So, when you're not longer wounded, you step into a divine version of your feminine side, which is well balanced. Everybody knows that women tend to have feelings, emotions, and We drive the world through our emotional side of things, but those emotions need to be well balanced. Otherwise, we not be divine. We will be really out of balance and can come across a little bit masculine, which we all have it inside of us. I have a lot of masculine energy, but nothing to do with my divine femininity. So, being divine feminine, it's all about being the energetic self and bring the balance into the family or into whatever situation you have in your life. So, we being divine feminine is to be receptive and passive and intuitive, which we most women there is a say that say most women have the sixth sense for a reason. Okay, that is our divine. It's born with us. It's completely within us, and that's why women are so intuitive about things. Men have that as well, but I think women have much more intuition. I don't know if you agree with that or not, Joey, but I think women have a lot more intuition than guys,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
that
Yeah. Can guys tap into that intuitive side of themselves? Absolutely. But it is not through the masculine. The masculine cannot tap into intuition. The masculine cannot tap into creative, regardless of what you say. This is evolutionary and biology, but there are two different sides. When we are being in, when myself as a masculine, as a perceived man, when I'm being creative, when I'm using intuition, when I'm designing and imagining anything, that is actually me stepping into the portion of myself that is
Mhm,
divine feminine. That's where the
mhm,
beauty, the flow, the magic, the creativity, it all comes from the feminine side. But the masculine cannot create without the feminine. So therefore, it takes both aspects of this. But the masculine is 100% vital and important. The feminine, while she's in all her beauty and joy and everything that she encompasses as the feminine, she cannot build. She cannot engineer. That is not the role of the feminine. The feminine creates it, and in order to build it, they have to step into
mhm.
their masculine aspect of
It's
themselves.
like
So, not
good.
saying that there are a lot of masculine women, especially in business, especially out there, trying to make waves in the world. It's not that they're not
Uh,
feminine at all. You're extremely feminine,
uh,
but you have to step in, just like my wife. You have to step into that role of the masculine and encompass that in order to design, in order to build and engineer whatever it is you're wanting. So people get offended by saying, "Oh, you're being too much feminine or you're being too much masculine." No, it's
Pressure.
becoming aware that we live in that center, that middle. And when we need to harness one aspect, we go here. When we need to harness the other aspect, we go here. It's the whole concept of the duality and the polarity we live in. There's a left and a
Mhm.
right. The left brain is masculine, the right brain is feminine.
Whether we
Creativity,
use it most.
logic,
Mhm.
together, they create our reality.
Yeah,
Back to you,
it's
Liliana.
whether. Oh, it's all right. It's whether I've interrupted. You interrupted a little bit. It's fine. It's where the side we use it the most because some of us we meet people that are very strong individuals and we're kind of sure how we can react to them. Being me years ago, I had a lot of masculine power within me. I kind of can say I was a bit manipulative in a way because I liked things to go my way. And when I was married, especially, my husband had a lot of feminine energy in him. He was a really nice guy, well balanced, but emotionally, he was really like into a feminine kind of thing, which was not bad. It was very good because women like to be heard and like to be understood, and many men are ruthless when it comes to emotions. They know nothing about them. They don't care about them. Don't talk about them. No one will hear it because they just have this strategy. I'm a male, and that's it. And sometimes, because we have the natural feminine energies, we have these feelings. and we want these humans to be allowed in and allowed out, and we like to have this the other version that is kind because we tend to be kind to ourselves. We tend to be nurturing ourselves. We like to be kind and nurture, and we more understanding. That's why they say the mother, which is the mothers tend to have more understanding toward their children, where the male figure was like, "No, you are a man. You need to come out this strong guy because you can't cry because you're not allowed to cry." That was in the old times because male are now coming out more um, emotional and showing up the emotions a little bit more than. Oops, there's a lot of
Sorry, I hit the wrong button while you were talking. You're good.
so yeah, the male now is coming out more emotional than before, because this before used to be seen as a weakness from the male, which is now is a good balance, because in the old days we have so much karma, we're so wounded as masculine and feminine. There was so much. There is still a lot of wounded people who have no idea what we're talking about. That's why we made these shows, all right? Because these shows are not to teach you anything. These shows are for us to learn and for you to understand the journey. This is a huge ascension journey that we're going through. And in order to ascend in grace, graciously, we want to tap into what has been like a secret for thousands of years. We did not know anything about these feminine and masculine energies. We know about the symbols, the yin yang. We knew about the the Buddhas and all these people talking about these ascended masters, these masters talking about this unconditional love, but we could not quite understand because we being seen as just a form, male and female form, which now we understand this form is non-existent in the quantum. There is no form in the quantum. So each one of us have a human body, but inside there are the two forms within. So we have the two bodies within. It's whether we show it more outwards, the side that we want to show. When I want to step into my masculine power, I show my masculine power. That's no problem because I have it, but I didn't know how to use it. I was very imbalanced, like being like sometimes aggressive, manipulative, because we cannot say I'm not or I was not. We all have been there. We all have been there. But again, I was very creative and I did not understand the side of things. And when you're in balance, you have no creation and you have no tenderness and you have no unconditional love. Um, and it's just about learning how to use these things. But again, a lot of us are wounded still, and we have no control. I'm not talking about me, by the way. No control how to balance those. And we've seen a lot of that when a male perpetrator or a male that abused the power and be critic towards the woman, or being like a dominant towards the woman and just want to deal with things with aggression and also avoid, because male avoid a lot of things, especially sensitive subjects. Male don't like to do that, to create this situation of confrontation. So when we see those kind of behaviors, we know very well these male are wounded. And that's why it's so important to understand about divine feminine and divine masculine. Because when a male is not wounded no more, he respects the feminine. He respects our emotions, why we cry, why we put our emotions out, why we are so nurturing, why we are so delicate, and we respect our intuition. Sometimes if we say, please don't do this because I feel in my deep in my gut, that's not the way. When a male has this balance within him, he understands the emotional side of things and let us guide his life, and our lives can be well balanced if we understand each other how to use the balance feminine and masculine. Do you agree, Joy?
I do. I agree with everything you said. The one thing I want to correct is we want to remove this idea that anybody's wounded. The masculine isn't wounded, the feminine isn't wounded. We are simply programmed to believe a
Yeah.
certain way, and we have been programmed to believe the lies,
Uh-huh.
the mistruths about who and what we are. The fact is, masculine plus the feminine equals the whole, the one. We can't have one without the other. Without the feminine, the masculine has no foundation. Without order, the feminine has no direction. The feminine is all about love. She loves completely. The masculine is programmed through our biology to protect. It's once the perceived need for survival is eliminated, like it basically has been. This isn't 2,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago. We're hunting, we're battling tribes. We have eliminated that, the need for survival. So once we eliminate that perceived need, then we can begin to connect with our higher self and begin to see the true essence and own our light and our love. There's
When
certain.
when I
What's that?
No, when I say wounded, what I meant by that was a lot of us would not recognize these things as a program, and that's why the behavior when it comes out sounds like it's a wound because there's something there that's not quite healed, it's not quite balanced, it's not quite right. So I'm just going to correct, and it's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh no, you're fine. Just when I don't like to use the term wounded because it gives the wrong implication, in our minds that there's something wrong, that there's something wounded. Do we all need to heal? Absolutely. But that's part of the journey we're on. We need to heal. We need to process the things that have happened to us. And most things that happen to us stem from this subconscious programming of either we're feminine or masculine, and we don't understand how to use the power of the two. When we remember that there is only you, nothing else exists but you, and you're creating everything, then you also have to realize that you possess both sides of this pendulum. Basically, it's swinging back and forth into, you're harnessing the power that's needed from each. Some of the key things about the feminine aspect is they do not want to make decisions. They do not want to be responsible. They want to be free to love, to enjoy life. It's the masculine's role to bring out the feminine side in each of us and to bring out the feminine side in all of us that we interact with. And how do they do that? We have to portray a sense of certainty. We have to make the feminine feel that she is safe. And this, you don't apply this as if I'm talking about me versus you, masculine versus feminine. These are aspects within you. You need to let yourself know that you are safe, that you have certainty, that you know where you're headed, and that nothing is going to hurt you. Once you can do that, once the masculine side can portray and give off that appearance, that belief that there's certainty, that they're protected, that they're loved, and that it's safe, then the feminine can open up, and that divine feminine within us will open up to the beauty, to the joy, to the happiness, the love that's all around us. So that's when the creative juices start flowing. That's when we get into flow state. So yeah, we have to get rid of this idea that there's toxic masculinity that is simply a programming, and that word in and of itself is created and used to divide us from understanding our true self. There's no toxicity in any of this. There is only which direction, which side you choose to resonate with for what you need to bring out at this point in your, immediate, consciousness. If you need to take charge, you need to step into your masculine. If you need to feel and you need to be emotional, you need to let go of some of that baggage, some of those misconceptions and false truths, the stories that we tell. When we need to let go of those and heal, that's when we have to step into our divine feminine. So what do you think, Liliana, are some of the key aspects that you possess, maybe in both sides here? What are the key feminine, divine feminine attributes you have? What are the divine masculine attributes you have, since we all share both?
Yeah, we share both. I mean, look at me. I'm just like embracing both because at the moment I have no male figure in my life. So there are times, and every day I think, I have to step into my masculine to make decisions, to make the right decisions, especially the business decisions that I don't have the male person to advise me on. Sometimes I don't have an all, and I can always rely on my male friends around me to just to give me like it's not a confirmation, but just to give me the I'm lacking the word now, the the certainty, the go ahead, to say yes, you are thinking right, you are thinking male version now, so you are right. Just follow your gut because I use that on a daily basis. Part of me use my intuitive side, which is my feminine, and part of me has to use the logical side, which is the masculine. And sometimes because you don't have the other half there, you question yourself and you like just reassure. I kind of know what I'm talking about, but it's just like I go to the male versions about here and I say, look, I'm doing this. Do you think that's correct? I feel like this is the right thing to do logically, but I am not the male. I'm stepping into the male for the time being. And when I hear, yeah, you're totally right, because you're thinking logically, and sometimes it's difficult to think logically when we are a woman, because women tend to think emotionally only, and it's so hard. But saying that, there is there are some a lot of groups out there in today's days that I know about how powerful these things are, and we have never have access to them, and that's why the human consciousness now it's a strong topic, and everybody talks about how to release this knowledge because this knowledge was not accessible to any of us. It was just hidden from us. And once we step into this power and we have mentors to teach us more about the law itself, because remember, everyone is a mentor. Okay, every single of you is a mentor. You mentoring yourself how to become your best version, either step into the feminine or the masculine. Eventually, we don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. We tend to understand that we want to know everything, but we can't know everything. And we need more mentorship from elsewhere, from outside, so we can act in our better version, because we cannot just think that I know everything. Because remember, when we meditate, you have to come from the state of nothingness. So when you come from the state of nothingness, you understand that you are surrendering, which is again a divine feminine quality attribute. You surrender to the unknown, and the unknown not have male or female. When you surrender to the nothingness, to the black hole, let's say, where you come from, you know that you are just a form, and this form was created in either the male version you chose to come here for, or the female version that you decide to formate yourself on the earth, if that makes sense. So there's not right or wrong information. And the only information and true information that you can have is by stepping to your nothingness, and I cannot stress that enough. Go into your nothingness, knowing that you come from nothing, no thing, as Joe Dispenza says, and he's right because I could not understand that before. When you know that you are nothing, no thing, you are formless, no form, you then apply both forms into the reality, which is the feminine and the masculine. Correct me if I'm wrong, because this is deep.
Yes, yes. No, you're right on track there, and you made an important you mentioned something important, which is the idea that the feminine is the emotional side. And you said, you get emotional. Obviously, we all do. But something to keep in mind, something to remember is the feminine side of us does not always want to be happy. We want to experience all aspects of the emotional spectrum because that's where we come up with that's where we understand the feeling of love, of empathy, of compassion. So the feminine will create obstacles, will create emotional triggers, will create pain in a sense in order to feel more, in order to love more. The goal and the only goal of the masculine is to use their power to focus and create, focus their love on impacting others and bringing out that side of the feminine. When the feminine is being emotional, that is the feminine in their most perfect state of flow. It's it could be, they could be upset, they could be really excited, whatever it is. The idea is you don't ever want to interrupt a woman when she's in her flow state, when she's in that emotional state. But here's the key: you don't want to feed into the negative
No,
emotions. She's wanting
no.
to express herself. She's wanting to express this emotion that's within her, but she doesn't know how. So a lot of times it comes out in uh in negative ways. It comes out in negative emotional reactions. And that's not the feminine being crazy or emotional. That's the feminine trying to express her flow state, and she doesn't know how. And it's that role of the masculine to not react, rather to ask the right questions and to attempt to
Uh-huh.
bring her into and harness that divine nature within her, that divine power of creation that she's trying to explode out of her, but she doesn't know how to get it out. So that's why the feminine gets so emotional,
Uh,
and we
yeah,
misinterpret it because masculine is logic thinking. We see it and
but
we think
women,
100% she's crazy, or 100%. The other thing about the masculine is we try to fix things. We perceive
yeah,
things as needing to be fixed. The feminine doesn't want you to fix their shit. The feminine just wants to
no,
be heard and let that
yeah,
energy out of them, however that needs to
yeah,
come out. And we take it as
yeah,
a personal threat, as an affront to the masculine, because we are supposed to be logical. We're supposed to protect them. We're supposed to help them and provide for them. So when we misinterpret what an emotional episode for a feminine is, that's when we get confused. And that's when we start doing the wrong things that trigger the feminine to react. And you don't want to react. You want to just get
mm,
her into that flow. Does that make sense?
makes sense. But again, we tend to want to be protected all the time, but we forget as women, this is for every woman that is listening, because this is very important to talk about these things. Men have feelings too, girls. So the problem is we see men as strong and they can't break. And this is where you need to step into the sometimes the masculine to understand their feelings as well, because it's only a certain point you can push too much. And women push the men to the limit. I used to do that. I honestly am so guilty on that. I am so guilty on that. And when I step into my power, I am going to tell you at the end how I've done this, how I balance, because although we have courses ongoing, there are a lot of things we give in because we manage to balance ourselves by understanding ourselves. And when I understood myself, I understood that everything energetically is moved by sound. And I was able to receive some sounds and balancing my chakras all the way up to understand there was an imbalance in my body. My body was completely wrecked. I had no idea that I was an emotional imbalanced person. I had no sense of where to put my authority because this is how my marriage broke, right? Otherwise, I'll be perfect. This is the reality of things. We have to talk about them because every time this is going to help somebody out there that does not understand. So when I understood that everything was energetically moved by sound, I was able to start from the bottom up. Although I was not expecting that I was receiving more information from this top than from the bottom, which a lot of us think, wow, let's heal ourselves and let's understand about the chakra system so we can position our masculine and our feminine. And this is very important for anything out there that we talk about. The law is always within. Everything is within. And the information it's coming out. Everybody wants to know because the information now, the technology is a great tool like this. In the old days, you used to send a letter to somebody to take like a week to arrive there. Now we don't have to do that. You learn the information much faster by just restoring or storing, put a storage in your brain about how everything works. So I won't stop thinking I was ignorant because I really was, and I'm no longer want to be in that state of ignorance, and that's why I came out of my shell to talk about these things. And it's so important, excuse me, to understand the male a version of the divine feminine, because the male is always been there for us since the beginning of times. The male work brings the bread home, or used to bring the bread home. Now the women bring bread home too. But that's again how to balance everything, right? And there is a secret power that holds all the power of manifestation, because divine feminine, divine masculine, when they together, there is a formation and divine formation that help us to manifest faster. Believe me, because I know it. I'm single and I know it. To manifest faster, you need to be well balanced with these forces. And it's not like because I'm single I cannot manifest. It's because divine divinity comes with a greater understanding of this masculine, and when I want, I can put the two together to be able to manifest, if that makes sense. So when
Mhm.
I do this, I have to work on my root chakra a lot. This is a secret, but there's no secret for me anymore. I'm giving away today what I've learned for myself, okay? A lot of people think, oh, you have to go to an expert or a shaman or this or the other because they are the experts. Yes, they are the experts, but the most expert of all is you understanding who you are truly, which is no thing, no form, you're coming from nothingness, and when you understand these things, because I repeat this again, and understand that everything is energetically moved by sound, you are able just to pick up signals from the universe, because there's no language there, that makes you understand the divine feminine and divine masculine. And once you balance those within yourself, and you become to attract the things you want just by putting your thought, and it's very powerful because I never understood this. 3 years ago, I made an assumption in my brain. I would like this. Oh, that would be nice if I had this. 3 years later, I rewind the tape now, and think, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. You never understand what you do to yourself when you use your divine gifts. Being feminine in those days was like an intuition. It was like I kind of made an assumption how I see myself with the divine masculine if I had this balance within my life. And little I knew that I was manifesting this for myself. And it's coming along. It's really coming along. When we witness those suppressed consciousness that we are releasing within ourselves, you can stop me anytime, Joey. When we release this suppressed consciousness and you understand how to use and abuse of your own power to become your best feminine, your best masculine, then you know the secrets. Because believe me, there are a lot of people out there, they know these secrets so well. They no longer want or manifest money. What they're manifesting is power. And that's what I'm tapping into right now. When I talk about these things live, the library just expands with knowledge. I've got no books, I've got no preparation in my lessons. It just everything flows as you want to give out information. And this is why me and Joey put these courses together now, because there's part of Joey that I lack and part of me that Joey lacks. And once you put it together, it doesn't matter if it's a man and wife or a co-worker or a colleague or whatever in your life, when everything gets balanced, everything gets shiny and flows perfectly. Do you agree?
I do. I do. Yeah. Absolutely. Not everything you said was spot on there. Let's get in. We've got some questions coming in. So let's
Yes,
get to
please.
some of these questions. We've got Adam Duvall. Thanks for joining us. Glad to see you're back here again.
Hi,
Um,
Adam.
he
Nice to
says,
see you, man.
why do you think men are so reluctant to showing off their feminine side? Well, that's a couple things, but it goes back to the idea that we've been programmed to believe a certain way, to believe that the masculine has to, we've been programmed to believe that we are separate from the two,
Yeah.
first and foremost. We've been programmed to
Yeah.
believe that we're either this or we're either that. I'm not talking about non binary. I'm not talking about LGBT. I'm not talking about any of the physical attributes of a person. What I'm talking about is we each possess both masculine and feminine. What society, what religion, what everything has tried to do for thousands of years is to divide us into thinking that we are only one or the other. Because if we learn the true nature of who and what we are, and that we are both, each of those combined, that's when the light bulb turns on. That's when the power begins to generate from within you. It's been said, masculinity, that word toxic masculinity, that's bullshit. That is a word that has been used in order to divide us. Again, there is no such thing as toxic masculinity. There is misguided masculinity. There is a masculine side that is controlling, dominant, aggressive, competitive, confrontational, abusive. These are all aspects, the negative aspects of the masculine, that when we don't understand our true power, we can't focus it on what's important. We can't focus it into the aspects of the divine masculine that are vital, really. And those, when we can understand that we are both, there's no more judgment. There's no more concern whether you're being too masculine or too feminine. There is only a sense of being. You are either acting as a masculine or you're acting as a feminine at that point in time. And take away the negative connotations of, oh, he's feminine, or he's, what the hell does that mean? Feminine means you're being in your emotional, your creative, your flow state. That's all feminine is. Masculine means you're being in your protective, focused, logical state. You are projecting certainty. Certainty is the most important aspect of the masculine. When he projects certainty out into the world, to his feminine self, even, it gives him the courage to move forward. But most importantly is when you're in a relationship, the feminine will do something. My wife is famous for this. She does what is called, and she does it constantly. And this is what the feminine does. It's called shit testing. The feminine will shit test the masculine all the time. That is the role of one of the roles of the feminine, because they're questioning. They're always pushing the boundaries, because you have to remember this is biological. You have to remember, back in tribal times, we've got 3.5 billion years of evolution in us. We've been doing this for a long time. So in tribal times, if the feminine felt uncertain about the leader, about the alpha male of the tribe, she would do a shit test. And if that alpha male failed the test, then they would kill him off, or she would find another alpha male. They would kick him out of the tribe if he couldn't protect and he couldn't be the top alpha male. The alpha male had all of the females underneath him, and if you weren't the alpha male, too bad, so sad, you took the scraps. Luckily, we're not in that day and age anymore, but this goes back to just that concept, the idea of a shit test. The feminine will consciously and subconsciously test the masculine, and all she's testing is to see if he will waver from his certainty and his focus and his logic. And if that masculine wavers at any point in that, then the feminine gets scared. The feminine, it weakens her power. It weakens her ability to then, she doesn't feel free and secure to be and allow her feminine beauty and creativity and flow to come out. So she has to do one of two things. The feminine, when presented with a uncertain masculinity, the feminine will either retreat and hide and go into a shell and shut down her true feminine creative powers, and she'll basically just go into a shell. Or the feminine's going to take on the role of the masculine. What the hell does the feminine need the masculine for if the masculine can't project certainty, discipline, focus, and protection? If she sees any kind of kink in the armor, she's going to take over the role. Why do you think we have so many people in the world, so many couples getting divorced, so many couples with reversed roles
And
here because we've been programmed to believe it's one or the other. And
yeah,
if the masculine doesn't know how to be masculine, then it's always going to be a battle. It's always going to be a shit show,
yeah,
more or less,
right,
because the feminine is
yeah,
always in a state of fear and panic. So she has to take on that role. So it's if the and the other thing is the masculine, divine masculine can only teach divine masculine. The feminine cannot teach masculine. The masculine can only teach masculine, is what I've been told. But remember, they both lie within us. So,
can I,
harnessing each side, is vital here. So take it away, Liliana. What are your thoughts on that? Thanks, Adam, for the
it's one.
question there.
I want to answer the question to Adam in a more practical way. Adam, thank you for your question because it's very crucial that you understand why so many men are not emotionally outwards attached because they fear what society is going to judge if they show their feminine side. And this is one of the greatest and one of the most challenging things for the male version of it. When a man shows that he's into understanding the feminine side of things and he wants to be his feminine self because he needs it that day, let's say the man had a bad day and needs a good cry, he can be perceived by his wife or by his colleagues as a weak thing, and this is not weakness. We have to embrace the two, as Joey said, because we have the two within. It's just society creates this big bubble of not show emotion because you are a guy. You can't show emotion, so it's like a girl cannot step into the male because the role is supposed to be that role, which is nurturing the children, raising the children. She cannot go out and win the brand because this is made just to stay at home. But that's the old programming. When the woman knows how to embrace the masculine and the masculine knows how to embrace the feminine, which is inside of us anyway. But if the two understand each other as a couple living together, then you care less what society thinks about your emotional side of things if it comes out. Does that answer your question, Adam?
I think we nailed it on that one. Covered every topic aspect of it. One thing I will say, you were talking about, it's been, we've been programmed to believe that the masculine shouldn't show emotion and that emotion is somehow bad. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Showing emotion is being vulnerable. Being vulnerable is a superpower that both the
Uh-huh.
masculine and feminine have. But
Yeah.
how are we going to be truly compassionate? How are we going to forgive? How are we going to come from a state of love if we can't be vulnerable? So get this misconception that masculine is not supposed to be vulnerable. Now, what that does mean, though, is the masculine does not unload his problems onto the feminine. There's a difference between
Yeah.
being emotional, compassionate, empathetic,
Oh,
talking about how you feel in certain aspects,
but
but never ever does the
not
masculine unload his problems onto the feminine,
all the
because that
time.
goes right back to what I just talked about before. When we
Yeah.
unload our problems on the feminine, what does that create? Uncertainty. The feminine says,
Oh, man.
holy shit, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, or this guy's an emotional, or this guy's acting feminine. He's unstable. All of those things start going through the feminine mind, and it
Yeah.
creates that uncertainty. And they then either have to, again, go into their cocoon or step up and take over the role of the masculine. So there's an aspect of being vulnerable and being emotional that does not include being unloading and being what's the word I'm looking for? We
Needed.
just cannot. Does that make
Needed.
sense?
Needed. Yeah.
Needy,
Yeah.
neediness. Eliminate the
Needed.
neediness. The feminine does not want to see the masculine being
No.
needy. The masculine,
No.
here's something. Sorry, guys, all of you out there that are
Yeah.
trying to be masculine or are masculine. The masculine, unfortunately, has the proof of burden. We carry the burden with us. We do not get the option to be uncertain. We do not get the option to be fearful or emotional and unstable. Basically, we have
Yeah,
to. We have the proof of burden, and we always have to perform, whether you want to like that or not. That's the role of the masculine. If you're not taking responsibility for yourself and for everything in your reality, including your family, your loved ones, your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. If you are not taking care of those aspects of your life, then your masculine is not projecting itself out properly. So it's an awareness. It's a taking responsibility. That's really what the masculine is, taking full responsibility for everything. And the feminine, each person has this ability, even as a woman. This isn't about sexism or anything like that. This
no,
is when the feminine wants to and needs to step into her masculine, she at that point must take full responsibility for everything. And that's your
yeah, we can't.
choice.
Exactly, we can't be victims. We can't be victims because that I've seen a lot of guys being like needed. Oh, I'm a victim of this or the other. We can't be victims. Steve has a question there. I want to know what this is because I can't read it from here.
Yeah. Steve's question. He said Emmett Fox in his book, The Garden of Eden, interpreted or said that Eve is the mind and Adam is the body, and the body
Mm,
is influenced by the mind. How do we discern balancing both? Why don't you
mm.
start on that one,
But
Liliana, if you'd like?
that's stupid because yeah, because Eve apparently was taken from what they say in the Bible from one of the ribs of Adam. So basically, we are one. Basically saying there's no male or female. Again, that's proof in the pudding. There was no form, there was nothing, and one was made of the other, so they're both equal. And how do you balance that? Well, I think we have to have wisdom on that one and knowledge. There are some of us that don't have this knowledge yet. They have no idea what we're talking about on this show. They have no clue what is to be divine, feminine, divine, masculine. They think, I'm a man, my role is to go to work, bring the bread home, and you are the woman, you wash the kids' clothes and you take them to school. And when the weekend comes, I just put my feet up and I watch TV because I worked all week and you've been at home doing nothing. Now, how to balance that? That was in the old days, remember, guys? Now, men understood that some of them now have taken those roles. There are some male that stay at home looking after the kiddies, and some women are going to work now, and they bring the bread home, and they could well do the same. They could well say, "Well, weekend is coming. I've been working all week. You just look after the kiddies, just take them to school. It's my time to rest." But women don't do that. Why? Because women are always on the go. Women don't take this logical side anymore. They take the creative and emotional side with kindness, with nurturing. And they think, it's my man, he's doing some work that is supposed to be my work, and I praise him for that. What a man. That's the balance, is when you understand and you not feel sorry for yourself because you know that you're male. Step into the feminine role for a short while, let's say. Let's say you couldn't find a job and you had to step into your shoes for a while. Is that embarrassing? Is that are you gonna be um put your I don't know, and set your logical side of things on top of the male because he could not think for himself and say, I am the male and I need to work, and you're gonna say, no, you're just gonna be the feminine. You're gonna bring in your feminine energy and balance it all up with him and say, I understand what is happening here. Let's be me, the feminine. And that's how you balance things out. You just have kind of not step into the victim mode or the manipulation mode and you say, I win the bread now. This is my money. I'm going to spend it when I want. I'm just going to buy some shoes and clothes. So you become that beautiful, divine feminine to understand the role has to be switched for certain time or certain reason, if that makes sense. That's an
Right.
example. There's thousands
Right.
of them.
Yeah. And it's really, Steve, understanding that we both possess equal parts of feminine and masculine. It's understanding and recognizing when to harness the power of each. And that's the conscious awareness of being able to step into the feminine or masculine at any point in time. The key to understanding the feminine is simply to allow them to stop thinking and let them feel. Masculine is all about thinking and logic, and the feminine side is about feeling and intuition. The what screws up the feminine from our flow, from our creative inspiration, is the mind. The mind gets in the
Uh-huh.
way and starts to project all these different aspects of fear and lack, because the feminine mind is so beautiful and amazing. It can create all of
Amazing.
these different scenarios, and they just start playing out, and it's like on a hamster wheel running around. And the role of the masculine side of you is to quiet that hamster wheel, to quiet that mind from racing and stop it from thinking. We have to come from you have to be an outside observer as the masculine,
Uh-huh.
looking on your feminine self, reassuring your
Uh-huh.
feminine self that you are safe, you are protected, you are loved, you are free to be you. And the feminine side
Uh-huh.
looking up, or not up, there's no higher or lower. The feminine side looking out at the masculine self. All it needs and wants is for the masculine to be strong, protective,
And
sure,
and we have
projecting
yeah,
certainty, calm,
uh-huh.
focused. Where's the energy going?
Valentine.
They play off of each other, and they have to have each other. But we just have been so programmed to believe that there's either one or the other, and that we're not in control of the each side of our being. And that's simply not the case. We are in control of all of it. This is a evolution. This is a process we are going through to learn the power
Mhm.
of each and to harness them both together to create the perfect version of you, which then can begin to create the heaven on earth that we were all sent here to create as divine creators. Wouldn't you agree, Liliana?
I totally agree. And I tell you what, when I see a couple, because I can see now if they are really well balanced, when I see the support of a woman behind, because the male likes to be known that he's doing well. Women are very bad at complimenting, by the way. They are terrible at complimenting. And I'm always complimenting male. And this is one of the problems I have in my marriage because I find everyone is beautiful in their own essence. And when the male feels like, oh, my wife, she thinks the world of me. She thinks I'm creative, I'm awesome, I'm this, I'm the other. He feels supported. He feels so much supported. He doesn't feel the need to be dominant. He doesn't feel the need to be, um, instead of criticism, because he has the support and the kindness of the feminine. And the feminine, when understand that the male emotionally need that support, she can be even more emotional because he understand when she's more emotional, he needs to step in and say, actually, she supports me in this role, which is the work, let's say more or less 100% times is work related emotion that male wants support from the woman is the work side of things, where the woman is more the emotion side of things, because the male is the provider, the woman is the nurturer. So when the male understands that he has got the support from me, correct me if I'm wrong, because I had to become the two to understand these things. And we no longer feel wounded. We no longer feel, as you don't like this word, but we no longer feel hurt because we know there's no need for this emotional wreck inside of us. So women wants the male to provide emotional support, and the male wants the woman to provide the work support, which is the approval of what I'm doing is right. You know, I am doing right. And the woman has intuition to say, this direction is going to take you to nowhere, and this direction is going to take you somewhere. And sometimes when we ignore this intuition, because women are very strongly on intuition, things can go out of balance because the feminine always give a say. we always give a say. We always have a say, and you know this is right. So we say, I think this is not going to take you anywhere, but it's up to you if you want to go down here. But saying that, this is a balanced feminine that's going to vision to guide. And when the male study himself and say, actually, she's a bit right, I better give up on this and I better try something else,
Mhm.
that is when they know they're working with each other and not against each other. Make sense?
Yes, yes, absolutely. We're here at the top of the hour, end of the hour here, so I'm going to wrap up.
Ah,
But I will
let me
touch real
just,
quick on a couple things that you just said.
yeah,
The feminine, we have to keep in mind that the feminine is allowed to request anything from the masculine that she wants, but she can never demand anything, because once we demand something, once the feminine demands something, it forces the masculine to then have to put up a wall, and certainty can be
yeah, a
lost from
barrier,
that. There is the
a barrier.
feminine, if the feminine is allowed to win an argument, for instance, the masculine loses his certainty, the perception of certainty. That's that whole idea of a shit test. It's not saying that the woman is right or wrong. She can be completely right, but the idea is the feminine is not trying to be right. The feminine is trying to express some sort of emotional energy within her, and she doesn't quite know how to get that out. So it's the goal of the masculine is to discover what the feminine's truly trying to say. The first thing she throws out there in an argument is complete and total bullshit and has nothing to do with it. Typically, the second or third thing that gets thrown out there is still not the core of the issue. It's our job as the masculine to stay calm, collected, reserved, and ask the right questions in order to pull out that true emotion that the feminine is trying to reach, that true state she's trying to reach. So, as I wrap up today, I'll say last thing: the masculine, the simplistic purpose of the masculine is to enjoy the feminine and to allow her and encourage her to experience the most incredible life possible. And the role of the feminine is to remove all ideas, aspects of logic, and be in your emotional state so that you can be in the present moment. I guess the feminine is about presence, which the masculine needs to get into in order to live in that present moment. But the masculine needs to provide a space, a safe place for the feminine to experience the present moment. Hence, we have to provide a safe space for ourselves and protect
Uh-huh.
ourselves to give that certainty in order for our feminine side to live in that emotional, creative, beautiful space in the present moment that we're here. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and because we don't have enough time, I would like to ask you if there's any of you want to enroll in our courses that we are just running and learn how to balance those. I've experienced this for myself. I can tell you how certain sounds and certain root chakras need to be healed in order to balance those, and I'll teach you everything about how to get the first steps to balance those energies so you can have the best manifestation possible into your journey. This is the only thing I wrote down, the last bit, because I didn't have time, but I wanted to help you live, teach you how to balance those. But we can always get that on our next show. And thank you so much for being here. I love you.
Yes, thank you all for joining in. I know we had Tina here, Diana, Steve,
Oh, I
uh,
see, Mom. My
Adam,
darling.
Richard joined in. I know for a
You
while
too.
he got in at the end here today. A lot of regulars on here. We love you guys.
Thank you
Appreciate
so
you.
much.
As Liliana said, if you're interested in the new 6-week course that we're putting out called Enter the Quantum, you can find it on our website at myrealitypractice.com/enter the quantum, 6-week journey that's going to help you discover the
Again,
truth, who and what you are, and how to
again,
embrace and harness this power to start creating the life of your dreams and of your desires. And it's within you, it's within each of us. So highly
correct.
recommend, if the course resonates with you, definitely get enrolled. The window enrollment ends on June 5th. And there are payment
Can I
plans.
just,
We can do payment
yeah,
plans. So just make sure if you are interested in payment plan, reach out to me directly, and I'll get that set up
please.
for you. Did you have something to say, Liliana?
Yes, I just want to say to the audience that if you really want to enroll and you don't have means, please enroll anyway because we're going to test you on the 6 week course. We're going to put some practical practices that you can experiment for yourself how they're going to work on your day-to-day life. For the 6 weeks, you're going to have 6 practical weeks with practical exercises that you can test it for yourself into the quantum, not in the physical realm, so you can know exactly how to tap into these things. If you think money is preventing you to join, please don't, because money is infinite. Money is not even a figure you can put on it. Just reach out, and Joey will put a payment plan. It's less than £84 per week, $84 per week. So I don't see why you don't want to enroll with us. Please just come and let me expand on that in the quantum field. I love you. Thank you so much.
Love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Until next week, my friends, stay blessed. And remember to always ask yourself, what reality are you choosing to create today? Bye now.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Liliana.
Joey.
Bye.
Thank you, Joey.